You have found what lights you up. I'm your host, Sunny the Life Coach, and I'm here because I see you searching for something or someone out there to help you feel better. Something to take away the pain that you're feeling, the inadequacies. I know all of the things that happen in life can leave you feeling empty. Your search is over. This podcast is all about finding your own freedom and power to love yourself enough to shine in the ways you were always meant to, the ways in which you are already fully capable of. If you're ready for some real talk, some serious truth bombs, and a few F-bombs, you are in the right place. Let's do this. Let's get lit. Hi. Welcome to episode 28. Before we begin with a really fun topic, I want to share with you some conversations that have taken place both recently as well as years ago regarding my hair. That's right, my hair. We spent a couple of hours Friday evening hanging out with our friends and neighbors outside. We all affectionately refer to it as Front Yard Friday. And it's been a thing that we've done for years. We drag our portable chairs out front to someone's driveway or the sidewalk and just visit, sometimes well into the evening. I don't know if it's a thing for every suburban neighborhood out there, but it's a thing for ours, and I seriously enjoy it. Because a lot of us have kids around the same age and they get out their bikes and scooters and rollerblades and just play together while the adults hang out and we discuss all the things. It's amazing, really. We have different values and beliefs, and sometimes we debate a little bit, but most of the time we just enjoy one another's company. I just want you to know that that is possible. Now, I don't recall why or how the topic of my hair came up last Friday, but one of my neighbors asked if I'd ever had it short, and I said twice. I started telling her about that time in 8th grade when I chopped it all off after having seen the movie The Legend of Billie Jean. I'm really dating myself now. Go ahead and look that one up. But my husband kept trying to chime in about that other time when I worked in corporate and I got that terrible Francesca cut because he didn't know anything about my 8th grade antics, and there are very few photos of that time frame. That's just how it worked back then. You could make photos disappear into the bottom of a shoebox in the corner of your closet, thankfully. Now, that's not what he called it, Francesca. It's not even what I called it when I did it, but another stylist later told me that is what it was referred to as. Anyway, I had worn my hair the same way for a number of years, and I was really bored with it at the time. We were with my best friend and her husband in Boca Raton for a week, and we all had visited the local mall to kill time before dinner. And I had tried on a short wig at one of the kiosks there. It was the same blonde color as my own hair. I just piled it up inside the wig. I had my friend's husband take a picture of me with his phone of me wearing the wig and then text it to me. I absolutely loved it. And I decided right there that I was going to cut my hair in that style. Because let's face it, how many times have you looked at a hairstyle? Back in the day, there were magazines at every salon. But of course now everything is online and it looks great on the model, but then you do it with your own stupid face and it doesn't look the same at all. But this time I thought I was so clever because I had my very own face with this hairstyle. Now, of course there are apps for that today, but this is before those were prevalent, and my best friend and both of our husbands were raving about how cute I was. So I was like, it's settled. I'm doing this tomorrow. Let's find a place and make it happen. I was ready to make a major life changing decision based on a wig and a cell phone photo. I liked my reasons, and those included I was cute, everyone said so. My friend was waiting outside for me, outside the salon, and I remember when she saw me, her jaw dropped, and she told the person she was on the phone with that she just had to go. And she was saying to me, wow, that looks so good. And of course, I just loved it. I loved the attention that she gave me. I remember walking up to her, bouncing my step, feeling lighter than air, having just left 5 pounds of hair on the floor behind me. Ah, it wasn't until years later and my hair grew back out that I found out that she actually laughed when she first saw me, and she told the person that she was talking to how ridiculous I looked. She outed herself on that, no worries. It was another conversation in a group setting that I don't recall how it came to be, and it isn't even relevant. I just remember her telling the story much later about that moment that she first saw me and what her true reaction had been. And I'm pretty sure my hubs was part of that recollection too. That time when she came clean with her real thoughts in that moment. Because at that time when she was telling the story, he agreed with her. And I thought, you're both assholes. Lied to me for years about whether my haircut was cute. Ridiculous. Now, this is a good segue into social media because I wasn't really active with it then. It was around, I just wasn't into it. I was a slow adopter. For the first few years that I had an account, I might post something once or twice a year. This story just reminds me about how people present themselves on social media. I can't help but draw the parallels. We aren't always truthful, are we? A few things happened recently that caused me to address this subject now. First, my neighbor opened the memories of the haircut during Front Yard Friday. Another thing is that I have recently seen The Social Dilemma on Netflix. Very eye-opening, and I'll get into that movie in just a little bit. Finally, I'm seeing more and more of my friends online pull away or flat out make announcements that they're taking a break or leaving for good. Either they too have seen The Social Dilemma, or they have decided that they can't take any more political posts or arguing with family members or the like. For all of those reasons, I think it's important to take a look at how we are using social media and whether or not we want to keep using it. Using it, like a drug, by the way. The film actually touches on that concept. At one point, someone says that only IT and drug dealers refer to their customers as users, which is a very impactful statement to make. Even though I have known this for some time, I remember decades ago struggling with that term when I was working in IT for that very reason. Users? Really? Is that what they are? Or might they be human beings? Anyway, let's talk about why we use social media first. Then we'll get into the brain's addictive nature, how we use it, why we keep using it more and more often, and how to keep your sanity and your relationships if you want to keep this type of connection going. So I know for me personally, certain platforms provide me with a sense of connection to other humans, especially those that I am geographically far from. When I first created a Facebook account, my niece and nephew were entering their teenage years, and that's where they were hanging out virtually. Yeah, it's true. Since they lived in Florida and I lived in Kentucky at the time, that was a fun way to keep in touch with the kids. I mean, now, 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 of course, they didn't stay there for long, and Facebook is not where the kids hang out anymore by any stretch, but that's honestly the reason that I went there to begin with. I would just check in here and there, maybe once a week. I didn't even have it on my phone. It's crazy, right? Boys and girls, there was a time when cameras on cell phones were an option, not a standard feature, which is why my friend's husband came to take that picture of me wearing the wig in the first place. Okay. And this is typically why we start browsing around any of these platforms, isn't it? We're looking for connection and we're curious. It's all very legit and innocent enough. Now, and this wasn't the case in the beginning, but now many of us also use them as marketing platforms. LinkedIn, for example, is the ultimate hub to market your professional skills. But even the LinkedIn newsfeed can be hard for some of us to deal with, so we just stay away from it. It's simple enough to understand why we dip our toes in the pool, just checking the temperature, going to see if I want to take a little swim, or if I need to find a different pool that I might enjoy more. There's certainly no shortage of options these days. This isn't what you need me to tell you. You know all this. What you may not realize is why you get so sucked in, why you can't look away from the train wreck, why you get so triggered by so many things that you see there, yet you still keep coming back for more. Well, it really is basic psychological manipulation and addiction in action. We start out with a little taste, then the dopamine hit comes with the likes and the supportive comments. Every notification becomes a reward, so we end up coming back for more. We start checking more often. Do I have even more likes, hearts, hugs, even laughs? Hell, an angry face is an interaction. We're still getting attention. We begin assigning value to ourselves aligned with the reactions that we get from others. It can definitely turn into a popularity contest. This is what the movie The Social Dilemma gets into. It gets deep into the psychology of social media, how manipulative it has become, and how addicted we as a society have gotten over time. We get that high from the dopamine hit, our natural brain chemistry, by the way, and we also go through withdrawal when we're away from it. I'm not going to recap the film here. I do recommend it. Enough of my friends on social media were talking about it and how they were blown away by it and how they were going to make changes because of it that I felt that I needed to check it out. Now, having a background in IT myself, knowing how our brains work, and also corporate greed and special interest for the icing on this cake, there was really nothing about it that shocked me. It does have all of the drama, for sure. Just keep in mind that if you choose to watch it, when you do, notice your thoughts about the information that you're getting from it. How are you translating and filtering it? Stay curious about it as you process, just as I'm always suggesting that you do with everything else around you. Because ultimately, that's all that social media is. It's another input. It's information, it's a platform, it's neutral. It's this playground for addicts, I mean users, to really share whatever the hell they want to share. This can be very beautiful, and it can also be super ugly, depending on your own translations, and filters. Let's talk about how to keep your sanity and your relationships as you're navigating social media after you decide whether or not you even want to stay there. We can certainly make the case to just walk away from it at any point in time. If it's not literally part of our job description, we always have that choice. That's your decision to make. And I've seen plenty of friends and family members over the years say, "See ya, peace out," especially as it relates to Facebook, because that seems to be the hot debate currently. There's also the increasing political content that turns a lot of people off from it. People that say, "I don't want to talk politics." But unfortunately, and this is my view, human rights and basic health seem to have become politicized. So I don't believe we can say with certainty that we don't want to discuss politics or religion anymore. Still, remember that if you're in a physical setting with other people, remember back to the days when we could gather in groups and conversations would happen, you could usually choose to engage or not. Keep this in mind as you're checking your newsfeed. You can choose your level of engagement. What ends up happening a lot of times is that we get triggered by a post. We say, "Oh, no, she didn't," and we're not going to leave the room without saying something. "I'm offended. I need you to understand why what you just said is wrong, and I'm going to plant myself right here in the comments section until you get it." I mean, good luck with that. Or we see something that someone posts that sets us off, but we say absolutely nothing. We just fume about it internally. We unfriend, we block. "She's dead to me, we're finished." And that's all good until it's your aunt or your brother. Then it gets a little weird because eventually they're going to find out. Is there a way to keep your sanity and remain friends with someone on social media? Well, sure. Here are the things that work for me. First of all, I've never, not that I recall anyway, unfriended anyone. Now, unfollow, yes, I'm all about taking a break. Every now and then, someone will like one of my posts and I've honestly forgotten about them. So I go to check their feed. If it's back to a level that I find tolerable, I'll start following them again. Or maybe it's, "Nope, I'm good. We'll just keep that setting right where it is." Damn, don't you wish high school had worked like that? That some of your classmates would just be invisible? And that is really what I'm getting at. I honestly try to keep it as real as possible, even while knowing that this is in fact a virtual, alternate view of reality. People are in your life for a reason. Every person that you encounter has the ability to teach you something about yourself, and for that reason, I like to unfollow as few people as possible. I've only ever done it a handful of times, honestly. Because if there's a chance I could run into this person in real life, why should it be weird over some stupid meme that they didn't give that much thought to? Is it worth ending a relationship over? Depends on the meme, you say. This is my boundary. This is my threshold and my level of acceptance. This is certainly your right, and that's also where your power is. Your power is not in having thoughts that they are doing it wrong, that it is their beliefs and their values that are out of alignment with everything that's good and right with the world. Your power does not come from camping out in their comments section. That's not how they see it, and you're not going to sway them with your compelling argument, no matter how well thought out and eloquent it may be. That's not how it works. They have their thoughts, you have yours. When they are in alignment, your thoughts and their thoughts, that's a beautiful thing. And you form this amazing relationship in your mind. All is well. Your power comes from your ability to accept all of these inputs just as they are without making them mean anything about you. And here's the super tricky part, without judging the other person. Yeah, that's important and very challenging. I know. But think about the complex web of thoughts that is happening in your own brain and where your inputs are coming from. These algorithms on the platform you use are simply building upon historical data to form your experience. And it is unique to you. What you like, the type of posts that you react to, the people you interact with most, and everyone else is getting their own experience and interpretations based on the inputs they receive, their filters, their translations. Kind of like life, right? Remember, all of this can go back to your values and beliefs that have shaped you over time by your teachings, the type of people you've been exposed to, your parents, your peers, the societal structures and doctrines that have been embedded in your brain's own algorithm. And these really only change over time because you begin to question and consider alternatives. Most of the time, that's your choice. You've set out on this exploration, you learn, and you grow. Where we mess up is that we begin to interpret this newfound knowledge and our adjusted belief system as reality and as truth. And it is for us, not for everyone. That can get frustrating because for many of us, if we are putting that stake in the ground and saying this is the right side of humanity, that automatically means that we want to bring everyone else that we love or we at least hold dear along with us to the right side, out of the darkness, into the light. It's almost evangelical, isn't it? Then we dump all of these distinct values and beliefs that are ultimately our realities and truths into this big melting pot that is a social media platform, and we stir it up with memes and live video feeds and a snapshot of a story that lines up with our narrative because the algorithms keep getting better. And we are perplexed when everyone else doesn't agree with us, or that our well thought out and eloquent sentence structure isn't immediately accepted as truth for someone else. This is why I don't agree with trying to debate major societal structures and lived experiences like racism on a social media platform. It just won't end well. You're not going to convince the other person that what they shared is racist, especially if they believe that racism was magically eradicated with the Civil Rights Act. It's just not going to happen. Am I keen to share nuggets of wisdom that I've learned? Sure. But I'm not going to debate anyone over it. Remember, our brains have a built-in system to seek out evidence for things that we already believe, just to further prove our theories. And social media is essentially replicating that feature, pumping that dopamine, giving us all our fix of righteousness. I can assure you that for every source you find to support your belief, the person on the opposite end will find 10 more to disprove it. So, OMG, why stay on any of these platforms then? Well, that's easy. That's the easy answer in all of this, because puppies and kitten cams. I have a local friend who uses fostering kittens as a distraction from all of the angsty news these days. So she'll frequently do a live feed of a kitten cam, and I have to say, it is everything. And I am totally a dog person. Newborn babies on the other side of the country, first days of school, homecomings and proms, high school graduation, weddings. Very creative weddings these days. I have another friend who did her wedding the third or fourth date to be rescheduled through a live YouTube feed and even posted the playlist with timing and drink menus so that we could participate and toast from another state. Thank you, COVID. That level of creativity would likely not have been exposed if we just stuck to the traditional route. And I love my friend very much. I mean, both of them. But I likely wouldn't have traveled for that event. This way, I got to experience something so very cool. Humans of New York. If you don't follow Humans of New York, look that up. That is an amazing feed. Halloween costumes, haikus, handmade healing crystals for sale locally, yoga classes, virtual dance-offs, virtual book clubs, and wine tastings. I'm telling you, what Facebook is really good for is the groups. I've said this for years, and it keeps getting better. That's where you find your like-minded people. Join some groups. Or create one of your own if you can't find what you're looking for. Or rebuild one that an influencer just walked away from. That's happening now. But it's all good stuff. It certainly can be if that's the way that you choose to view it. And that's my choice. While I'm completely on board with taking breaks or muting or unfollowing for a bit, like I said, I do that very sparingly because I don't want to live in an echo chamber. When I do visit these social feeds, give me the full experience. Show me all of the amazing things and sprinkle in a little bullshit too, just so I'm reminded that we are all different. I heard a concept on one of the recent episodes from the Broken Brain podcast earlier this week. It's another one of those perfectly timed nuggets that just slipped in to my own carefully curated inputs just as I was planning this topic. So fascinating how the universe just sends this stuff my way. I love it. Related to taking a break from social media, the conversation was this. Taking a break is a missed opportunity for self-reflection. What? Oh, yes, I loved that. I'll say it again. Taking a break is a missed opportunity for self-reflection. And that staying with all of the thoughts and feelings that come up with the things that we see on our newsfeed teaches us to be resilient in the face of our inputs and triggers. Oh, hell yes. That's what I'm here for. Give me all the opportunities for self-reflection and to build my own resilience. Because that sounds like power. Because really what people think and what they say and what they post, none of it means anything until you have a thought about it. Stop getting angry at them for being who they are and instead get curious with yourself about why you are triggered. Really examine that. Take advantage of the opportunity. Extend gratitude for it. Now, regarding the addictive qualities of social media and the ways in which we use it to escape our real life, I'll ask you to examine that too. Check in with yourself and your intentions when you reach for your phone to open your favorite app. What emotion are you trying to avoid in that moment? It could be boredom, it could be sadness, it could be loneliness. I'm all for setting time limits, turning off notifications, and even removing the app from your phone completely. If you do the latter, it really forces you to be mindful of the time you're taking with it. Make yourself use it on your laptop, only in another room, so that you're actually focusing during the time that you're spending, not just mindlessly scrolling while you're in front of the TV. It could very well change your daily habits around usage, and you'll certainly be able to think more clearly and process those inputs that you're getting. But I really believe that unfriending people is the last resort. It is for me anyway. I don't want to live in an echo chamber, as I've said, and I'm more than willing to accept that every person is in my life in some capacity in order to teach me something about myself. Yes, even those pesky direct messages trying to sell me something. Each one of those is also teaching me how much tolerance I have. It's a beautiful thing. I'm not bothered by anything that I see on social. I'm not offended. I'm not angry. I'm not disappointed. I'm simply curious. I take that approach to it because I know that I want to stay there. For the puppies, the kittens, the newborn babies, the wacky toddlers, and the lovely weddings. I manage my thoughts about everyone else's thoughts. It changes your perspective, I promise. I'm not inclined to give up the digital connection to my fellow humans, especially during a time when our options for in-person interaction are limited. I am an extrovert after all, and I can't forget that I have made some very meaningful connections in real life that started online. That's worth acknowledging, especially when your timeline looks like something you want to either fight about or run from. Remember the good that you can find there too. I think the real social dilemma is around your willingness to look at why you are bothered by any of it, while you're simultaneously drawn to it. That creates this love-hate relationship. Those addictive tendencies are only there because you are trying to escape your feelings. Face them, let them in, examine them, embrace them, move on from them. As Rumi says, be an empty page, untouched by words. My husband could not wait to tell our neighbor the other night about that time I cut my hair super short. His face just lit up and he started laughing at the memory. Now, I remember how I initially felt when my friend came clean about this years ago, about that whole episode. It's like it was their inside joke, the two of them. They thought I looked freaking ridiculous, but they didn't tell me that. Originally, when I found this inside joke had been there, I thought they were both assholes. But you know what I thought the other night? Seeing my husband animated by his memory of it, and maybe somewhat around how long they kept that ruse going with me, I realized something. Both of them did what they did. They lied out of love for me. They saw my joy and they didn't want to take that moment from me, that moment when I had a bounce in my step and I felt 5 pounds lighter without all of the hair. See how that works? I don't freaking know what they were thinking, but I know this. It feels a lot better to imagine they lied about loving my hair out of love for me than it does to think they lied about loving my hair because they're just mean people. Your interactions on social media include interactions with people who are dear to you and who you've created memories with. Whatever their true intentions are, you'll honestly never know. I assure you that it feels so much better to imagine them coming from a place of love. Love always wins. It always feels good. It always feels right. Embrace all opportunities that are presented to you to self-reflect. Create your own story, a version that you love. You will not be disappointed. That is what I have for you today. It may be a bit of a different spin on how to view social media than what you were expecting. And if that's the case, mission accomplished. If you enjoyed this episode, please take just a moment to leave me a review on Apple Podcasts so that others can find it too. Light up, shine on.